What's going on, everybody? It's Q Jackson, host of BLK Talk. Look, I was over here preparing for another amazing episode, but look, I need you guys to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the notification bell so that you guys don't miss any of our amazing conversations. Have a new episode coming to you in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? It's Q Jackson, host of BLK Talk. And I am here, yes, with another amazing conversation. And yes, with another amazing individual who is out here doing so many amazing things in the world. Welcome to the BLK Talk platform, 2 a.m. Ricky.
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
Thank you so much. So much. We finally made it happen.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Q.
Of course, absolutely. Like, you're out here. The summer's heating up. You are about to release some you've released some new music.
Yes, I have.
You're about to release a new project.
Yes, I
You're
am.
about to hit the stage in a couple different cities. Like, how does that feel to know that you have so much coming forward?
It feels amazing. I feel like I'm at a point in my career where I'm starting to see the fruits of my labor, and just like to just grind it out years and years
Yes.
and years and
Yes.
years. So to be at this point where it's just I get to enjoy being 2 a.m. and the impact of that work and the fruits of that labor, it's a blessing.
Okay. Now let's go ahead and rewind a little bit. So for the people who may not be familiar with 2 a.m. Ricky, the man, the brand, everything that you have going on, tell the people a little bit about who you are.
So my name is 2 a.m. Ricky. I'm a recording artist. I'm a songwriter. And what I do is I specialize in helping music become inclusive. So I'm a brand strategist. I'm a speaker. I do corporate trainings with different people. And I make music more inclusive, one conversation, a song at a time.
Now, when you say inclusive, what does that mean?
So inclusivity means I target LGBTQ minorities, women of color, those who may be minority within their business. So whether it be a queer creative talent, whether it be a black woman of color who works within the industry, I focus on how do I uplift them? How do I make sure that they're safe? How do I make sure that they have the information that they need to be successful as artists, that their team have the information that they need to make sure that that artist can be successful?
Now, for you, why is being inclusive so important? Why are these causes and these focuses so important for you?
So I am a trans man. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm also the first black openly trans man to top any recording chart. So I had a record.
Hold on, because oftentimes what we don't do is sit in our achievements.
Yes.
So you're gonna just a little bit and say you were the what?
So I'm the first openly black trans man to ever top any recording chart. I have a record called What You Want.
No, hold on.
Number one.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Like, you are somewhat still in like the beginning stages of your career.
Yes.
But you've already accomplished something that's gonna go down. That's already gone down in history. Like, how does that feel?
It's phenomenal, but it means there's more work to be done because it's 2023 and I'm the first.
Now, how long ago was this though?
This was 2021.
Okay, so for 2 years you've held that. So, like, what do you want to happen moving forward with something like that?
Moving forward, I would like to see, for one, more spaces for people like me. More spaces that it's safe to own that title and feel okay within that title. And see more people accomplishing that. I don't want to be the only one. I enjoy being the first, but it needs to be more people like me, more people coming after me. So that's what I would like to see.
So do you find yourself like sharing your story? I know a lot of us out here in the world have experienced things that we've often wondered, why are we going through this? Why are we experiencing these things? But like me, in many different areas of my life, what I've come to realize is I am not living my life for me. Yeah. I'm living these experiences because I'm going to have to encounter somebody that's gonna need that story. Yeah. That's gonna need that, that inspiration, that motivation to know that the very same thing I'm going through, somebody else has gone through, and they have overcome and achieved great things, like being number one. Like, how does that feel? Does that add pressure to what you're already doing?
There is a little bit of
Just a
pressure, a
little
little
bit.
bit of pressure. Just a little bit of pressure. But I use it as motivation. To me, the fact that I know that there are so many voices, so many stories that are not told, that are not heard, that I have the privilege of being able to step into the room, and whether you're honoring me as Tulane and Ricky, you're honoring me as a person who's coming in to do that education, do that speaking, do whatever, my voice is being able to be heard when millions can't. So I utilize that, I optimize that, and my ultimate goal is to just use my influence, use my platform to tell the stories of the people that I speak for, the people that support me, which are a lot of those people who relate to my story.
Okay. Now, most people, when they start their story,
Yeah.
who are you? Most people say, well, I come from humble beginnings, and they get these little sad stories or whatever. But you're a Carolina boy,
Yes, I am.
okay, and you're very proud of that
Yes,
because
I am.
there's music out there that says
Straight from
Carolina boy.
Straight from Winston-Salem.
So, what are some of the things that you feel you've experienced, positive, negative, whatever, that has contributed to who you are today?
For one, I think that North Carolina and where I'm from in general just has so much soul. Like they just got so much soul to them. And I feel like people feel that. They feel that in my music. They feel that in every time that they encounter me. Like it carries throughout the entire 2 a.m. brand. So I think that's like the biggest piece of home that sticks with me that people get to feel.
So Winston Salem.
Yeah.
Like when you think of like country places, down home places, places filled with soul, you think of food, you think of culture. What food is Winston Salem known for?
What do we got? We got some good. We got some good black-owned restaurants. Mount Friday's busting.
See, I asked what food. You talk about restaurants. You supposed to say, "Oh, we're known for great ribs."
I'm gonna be real with you. It depends on what part of North Carolina you go to.
Okay.
Cause like some part have like really great barbecue. Some part have like really busting chicken. Like we're home of Cookout and Bojangles. So our Bojangles and our Cookout does not taste like it does here. I hate Bojangles and Cookout.
It tastes like fast
it
food
is
here.
trash. It's garbage. But North Carolina, our Cookout and your Bojangles are gonna have a completely different taste.
I did not know that. Now, did you get that cooking spirit when you were
I did. So, fun fact, I actually know how to cook really, really well. Now y'all know that. It's not a secret no more. My stepdad and my grandmother were caterers.
Okay.
So when I would get in trouble, my punishment would be that I would have to help in the kitchen and I would have to serve people. But they would serve different artists and different celebrities, so like Maya Angelou, Shirley Caesar. I got to meet them when I was like a little kid, like serving them food, and even then I was in trouble. So I used to go and be like singing to them or like rapping to the people as I'm serving the food.
What the hell? Your punishment was to be a part of greatness?
Yes. Like your punishment was going out there in that kitchen and serve them this food. And you step out and it's literally Shirley Caesar, this Maya Angelou, and these different people that they had catering businesses and they would host different private parties. And Maya Angelou had a home in Greensboro. Okay. That she's where it was well known in North Carolina. Shirley Caesar has homes there. So they would host a lot of their private dinners and cater a lot of their private parties and of different people around the city.
So being who you are now, I don't know if you knew who those people were back then.
I knew.
Oh, you knew.
I knew who Shirley was because I grew up in the church.
Okay.
So,
okay.
And I knew who Maya Angelou was because you can't not know who Maya Angelou is.
Thinking back on things like that now at this point in your life, to have the opportunity to meet such great, respectable, legendary individuals at such an early age. What do you think that did for you personally on your journey through life?
I think that it was very affirming. I think that when I look back on my life, I've had moments that I felt like God was kind of just letting me know, like, you're going to be great. Mm-hmm. and I didn't realize what it was because I was so young. But now when I look back, it's like, that's not normal. That's not normal. And that's not normal. But they all made sure that the stars aligned.
Wow. And because of those stars aligning, we are here today.
Yes, we are.
On the release of your Cream. Your single Cream.
Yes.
Preparing for your project entitled
What you packing?
So, all right, tell us about this project, and then I want to talk about like all of your projects leading up to this.
So what you packing is basically like a ghetto boy's diary. If you was to give a black boy, if you was to give a masculine presenting person a diary, what would it say? So it dives into a lot of the subject topics that no one really talks about. What's it like dealing with IPV from a masculine presenting perspective? What's it like dealing with mental health from a masculine presenting
Now,
perspective?
what is IPV?
So IPV is interpersonal violence. So domestic violence, interpersonal violence, abuse, relationships, right? Even when we deal with like stereotypes and stigmas, like as a black man, a lot of people think you're supposed to be like a player, but let's unravel what that playerisms look like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And because no one ever asks us our perspective of it. So that's what it goes into, is just different things and different topics that I feel like should really be discussed within society and might be considered controversial when you try to dive into them, but from our side and from our perspective. And it's 9 to 10 tracks of that.
So when it comes to mental health, I feel like this generation, people under the age of 40, are the individuals that are responsible for leading the change and making it okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, there's so much more that we deal with. We go to therapy. You know, most of us are proud to go to therapy. But there are so many things that we deal with that we are afraid to still talk about. When it comes to the works that you have been doing, how have you inspired and encouraged people to share their truths, to be themselves? Being a trans individual, you know, I know there's a lot that you have gone through to get to where you are today. How have you encouraged other people, you know, to get to that place as well?
By one, being vulnerable and doing the type of projects that I'm doing, like What You Packing, like Carolina Boy, like just I use my projects as my personal therapy sessions. So like the most vulnerable parts of my life, the darkest parts, like y'all are gonna hear them on the project. Y'all are gonna hear me talking about them. So the fact that I'm honest enough to be like, listen, I'm hurt too, I'm broken too, I'm empty too, but I'm gonna get that to y'all. You know what I'm saying? And after I get that to y'all, let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. That really inspires others, because a lot of people either never take that first step, or they might listen to someone who they might talk about similar topics, but it doesn't go that far. So the fact that I always take it a step further and I allow like people to really connect with me on a different type of space and like really open up their brain to like let's unravel this and unpack this for you. I think that helps a lot.
Okay. Now, 2020 for a lot of us, was a hard year.
2020 was trash. It was ghetto.
You know what? I'm gonna disagree. So for me, it wasn't, because for me, 2020, I was able to finally sit down. I was forced to sit down. For over 10 years, I had been going hard with work, with family, with media projects, with different things that I was doing. And I was finally at a place where it's like, you know what? You can't get dressed and go to this event today. You can't hop on a plane and go, you know, see you can't do some of the things that you were used to doing. So I had to sit here and I had to think, you know, how can I still be relevant? What's gonna make me happy? If y'all come to my house, there's like 30 plants around here. So that's one of the things that made me happy during COVID. Yes. But for a lot of like creative individuals, we had to find a different way to get that creativity out. A lot of us went, I went to social media, and I started creating different things. You said it was trash, but you released music in 2020.
I did.
So it wasn't that bad. So what did you learn about yourself, or what did you discover throughout that time that we were forced to sit down?
For me, 2020 was a year that I honestly did the most like transitioning in my career, because you gotta think like during 2020 I was creating What You Want, which was the record that went #1 with CeCe Peniston, and I was creating all that music. So 2020 was difficult, but it was also the season that I had to like really decide where I stood not only within the industry but within myself.
Okay.
I was just getting to the point where it was like I wasn't down here no more, but I'm starting to, you know what I'm saying? Stuff is starting to shift, and I had to really put into perspective, like, who are you? What is your purpose? What do you want to do with this? What does it mean? And how comfortable are you with your identity being open? Like that was the year that I really had to do like all that self searching, all those self questions of like, are you gonna be okay with the world's acceptance or not acceptance of you? Can you deal with this? You know, learning what is it really like to be a trans person within the industry, because it's all great when y'all see me on the interview, but y'all don't know about any other thing that I encountered, and it's not always great. So having that was the year that I had to like start experiencing those things for the first time. And that was scary. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to figure out how do you maneuver this, how do you wrap your head around this and not blow it. You want to be successful and not blow it.
So for you, since I've met you, there seems to have been a certain level of confidence that's always been there. Has that always been the case?
That's crazy, because I feel like people say that, and I always be like, honestly, I view myself like as really, really humble or really, really like chill. I mean, and people like, you're so confident. I'm glad y'all view that about me. I'm glad you feel that way. I think that it just comes from when I'm a very spiritual person. Like I wake up, my day starts with like prayer, meditation. Galatians 6:9 is my go-to. So it just comes from affirming yourself, from prayer, from holding on to that little mustard seed that people talk about. And when I walk into a room, I honestly have more fear than most people know. I think that a lot of people might view it as confidence, but I think that also people don't think about, like, when I go into a room, I have to think about safety. I have to think about so many different things. So if I don't walk in and you don't think I'm confident, you're a safe person, but everybody might not be. And the people who aren't safe, they're going to sniff me out. So I gotta walk, you know what I'm saying? So I gotta walk in the room like my chest is up and my shoulders are back and my head is held high. Even if inside I'm like screaming or I'm like, what is happening? Or am I comfortable? Am I safe? Like, no one will ever know.
All right. So you heard it here first. So next time you decide to hit any of these events here in Atlanta,
yes,
and I'm available, you let me know, because I'm going up in that room with you. And if anybody you feel done sniffed you out, just point them out, and I got you.
Yes.
All right. we ain't for that. We are not out here to turn down greatness.
No.
And I never would have known that, though.
But that's one thing. That's one part of like navigating the industry, especially as a queer and as a trans artist, that most people don't think about. So when I do my speakings and I'm doing my engagements and I'm doing these conversations, it's not just trans awareness. A lot of my education deals within professionals within the industry. And it deals with, how do you navigate the industry as a trans artist? How do I go into spaces and I know when to tell y'all, you know, when is disclosure safe, and how do I know disclosure is safe? But what do I do when disclosure is not safe? You feel what I'm saying? I walk into a room and I have to announce I'm the first Black openly blah, blah, blah. Either you don't give yourself that accomplishment or you give it to yourself and risk. You know what I'm saying? What is anybody going to do? What's the response going to be? So how do you juggle that? And those things are the things that I have to educate people on, because no one else will. No one else will tell you, how do you go into the room when you're not safe, and what do you do to make sure you make it out safe? No one knows that you're unsafe, so it don't set off low alarms, but you still can do what you need and get what you need done.
So all of this, are these things that have come from experience? Are these things that you had to research? Like, how did you come to like those realizations?
A lot of it was firsthand experience. I feel like maybe not now, maybe like later on in my career when I got Grammys and millions and I'm like on like Beyonce and TP money, can't nobody say nothing to me. I do a tell-all. But it was a lot of firsthand experience. It was a lot of course, doing research, because although I'm a expert of my own experience, I wanted to make sure that I became experts of other experiences. So for instance, I can't speak from the experience of a trans woman or a non-binary individual, but I can go get that education for you so that I can make sure that I can come into the space and be able to know how to educate for those people. And that's what I do too. So it's a little bit of a mixture of both.
Now, you said education, and the only way that we flourish is through knowledge. Education. So we were having a conversation prior to this conversation. And I was saying that a lot of individuals that I've encountered, a lot of stories that I've heard from mostly trans women.
Yes.
People approach them. Sometimes they don't know,
Mm-hmm.
that you are a trans woman. A lot of times people just don't know what you prefer to go by. Hell, there could be a cisgendered man,
Yes,
who appears to be a cisgendered man, and you call that person a man, but they get offended because that's not their pronoun.
mm-hmm.
So instead of you being offended, I wanted to, like, why do you feel a lot of people take that offense and run with it as opposed to educating so that the next person does not make that mistake again?
Because for one, I think that it's very easy for there's a thin line between misunderstanding and maliciousness.
Mm.
And I think that a lot of people tread that line very thinly. So it's very difficult sometimes to tell the difference between someone who is misgendering you and it's literally just an accident and someone who's intentionally being disrespectful, for one. For two, I feel like it's not difficult to just ask what your preferred pronouns is. Like, even with me, people will assume that I'm a cis male before they assume I'm trans. So I don't have an issue of people saying he or him, but I have an issue of, because people think I'm cis assumed, they might say like really homophobic or transphobic stuff in front of me, and then I have to be like, wait a minute, like let me now have to disclose this to you so you know you can't have this conversation around me. But I'll just start off with just saying it regardless. Like, hey, my name is Stuart Enrique, pronouns he, him, blah, 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 blah. And when I say it, it kind of just, if they don't know, it kind of alerts them like, okay, some things here that I need to get this in mind. Mm-hmm. Whether they realize I'm trans or not, they acknowledge that. So for me, I just try to just say it myself. I give everybody a grace period. You got at least one time to slip up, I'll correct you. And then if your rebuttal is disrespectful, then, you know what I'm saying, I might have a different energy in my response.
You ain't gonna throw no hands, are you?
I ain't gonna throw no hands, but like, I'm very good at like being nice nasty. I give nice words. I'm good with my words, so I'm not gonna like put hands on you, but I'm gonna correct you. And I've had to do it on interviews. I've done it on shows. I've had some real interesting experiences. So
that are gonna be in that tell-all book.
I don't know.
We can't.
So I will say the funniest. I can't this one. The craziest experience I've ever had. I was at a show. And security didn't know I was trans at first. They figured it out halfway through my show. And I went outside to do an interview. Some women, they were trying to holler at some women. And they would not let me back into my own show. Because at the time, my license wasn't changed. First of all, I'm the artist on the show. What are you checking me for? That's already not protocol. But they were basically intentionally trying to, like, back to people being disrespectful. Like, it's a thin line. They were intentionally being malicious. So although I was the artist on the show, I had literally had a break. You know how it is. As a journalist, like, you pull an artist, they got a little break, you got to throw them back up there.
Yes.
We was on that little break, and they were trying to throw me back. He was embarrassed because he was trying to talk to some shorties. The shorties weren't stunning him. The shorties was looking at me. And felt that was an opportune time to basically put me on blast.
Embarrass you. And
would not let me back in. Was like, we don't care that this is the artist. We need something with ID. My ID was not changed. He tells me to pull my junk out my pants. Because think about it, this time I've been on stage, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all have seen me, so you know, like, y'all have, and literally tries to tell me to pull my junk out to get back in my own show, to prove that I'm not really a man. So I said, okay, well, pull the dick out. You sure you want to pull my dick out? If I pull my dick out, you gonna lose these women. I promise you gonna lose these women.
Oh. Whoa.
And I got him fired, and I had to pull my junk out to get back into my own show. And did, and embarrassed him in front of his women, and then called him out on stage and got him fired.
Wow. I would sue the shit out of him.
Man, what? Man, what?
I'm sorry you've had to experience
so that is like the craziest experience I've ever had is that. And it wasn't Atlanta shows that everybody said. That was probably one of my biggest Atlanta shows. And everybody could say that they saw me put my junk out. If they were on one half of the building, they saw me put my junk out. I just did real quick at the door to get myself in. And like, I told you, let me in.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
Okay. So another thing that I wanted to know, the 2 a.m. Ricky. That is a very interesting name.
It is.
Where did that come from?
So the name 2 a.m. actually came from my grandparents. People always assume it's something crazy. It's not nothing crazy. My grandparents raised me, and so my grandmother used to always say the only thing open at 2 in the morning is minds and legs. So when people encounter me, I either want to open up your mind and make you think, or I want to open up your legs and make you move.
See, old people don't know that they inspire with their words. I love that. Like, did you have the opportunity to share that with them, that like you inspired who I would become?
Yes, I did. I have had the chance to say that. My grandmother is still alive. My grandma Ozzy is still alive. Shout out to Grammy. So Grammy is still alive. Grammy knows. Grammy is a big supporter. Grammy listens to everything. Every time I'm in a magazine, she want to print it out, show it to a church friend. So
hopefully, Grammy got YouTube and Grammy.
Yes, Grammy gonna watch this
with the church folk. Okay. So look. The music. So 2020, you released music.
Yes.
You've been releasing music ever since then, leading up to the current release and the future release later this year.
Yes.
So tell us about your progression in projects. So first project, second project, so on and so forth.
I feel like every project I release, I reveal a different chapter of my life.
Okay.
So like my first project that I ever put out, my first real album was a tape called Hiatus, and it told the story.
A tape
called Hiatus.
Okay.
Right. And it told the story of my best friend was murdered on my college campus, and so during that time, he was who named me. He's who helped me come out with my transition. He's who told me that I was gonna be 2 a.m. Ricky, and I was gonna be this big artist, and I was gonna do da 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 da. Y'all, I didn't want to do none of this shit. I didn't want to do none of this. If anything, I wanted to be a ghostwriter, and that was it.
So you knew that your passion was music.
But I did not want to be in the camera. I didn't want to be on this like in front of people. I didn't want to do all this impactful talking, use your voice. That was not me. Put me in a corner somewhere. That's all.
But that wasn't meant for you.
That was not meant for me. So he literally manifested who I am, even the type of man I was going to be. So when he was murdered and it happened on the campus, I literally made a project that not only told the story, it had recordings of the people involved. It had recordings of witnesses. It built into also piecing together where I was, so discussing like my transition, and because everyone knew us, everybody thought we were twins. Like that literally was the only day I had never seen him and never talked to him. Was the day that he passed. So that project told that entire story, and through that I was able to help save his case. The next project was then Carolina Boy. And by Carolina Boy, I had reached a point where it was like, okay, I'm still not 100% who I am, but I've grown in my transition. I've grown in who I am. I'm starting to figure out who this new person is that I'm becoming. And now what you packing is like, all right, we here. You know what I'm saying? We've grown, we matured. And now that I got understanding of who I am and what I bring to the world, now let me figure out how I can use what I've experienced, but y'all have seen me grow through. Because I basically transitioned, I've grown up in public. Like everything from music to everything's been publicly. So it's like, now I'm not a kid no more. Now y'all can, you know what I'm saying, really understand me, and I can touch y'all and talk to y'all in a different type of context.
Now, one of your collaborations was with CeCe Peniston.
Yes.
And people, you know, she's been around for quite a long time.
Shout out to the
she's
legend.
made an impact in the music industry. How did that collaboration come about? And for an artist who, this was on your second project?
Actually, What You Want is on no project. It was a single.
Oh.
So no project.
With that being said, like, how did it feel to get a legend to believe in something you were doing?
It was really empowering from one. Shout out to CeCe, by the way. I love her. During that time was during the season that I was going through that dark part of my career, going through mishaps of the industry and misunderstandings. So to have a legend and a legend within the queer community, being your number one advocate, being the number one person that's like rooting for you and pushing for you. It was empowering. I did What You Want. What You Want was a record that I actually have been holding on to for a minute. I've been holding on to the beat, and the people I had been working with were refusing to let me use it because they basically thought if I was to release this project, the world was gonna clock me. They felt like the beat was kind of open. It's a house beat. It's like hip hop house beat. So they automatically know if they hear that, they're gonna know, they're gonna da 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 da. So when I did the song, I did the record in a one take. And the song, when you listen to the lyrics, is basically like an FU to the industry, to anyone who has an issue with who I am, with anyone who's like me. And when I did it, they automatically played it for CC, tried to call CC. They actually tried to give the record to CC. And I said no. While I was sitting there, they FaceTimed her, like, as soon as I stepped out the booth, she heard the first 30, 45 seconds, was like, I love it, I want it. And I said no. The feature, she can't have it. And she kind of looked and was like, all right, this is interesting. And so the person worked out the deal. She featured on the project with me. The person who worked on the record was one of those people who was really bad and tried to do really bad things because of who I am and because I was trans. And long story short, I was able to not only save that record, I was able to make sure that CC was rightfully credited as well. And CC respected that. She respected my boldness. She respected the fact that I was, even early on in my career, and compared to who those people were, I wasn't afraid to stand on who I was, even if it meant I'm about to burn my bridge with some powerful people. Who I am, the respect of who I am, and the respect of my community matter more. So from there, we've been thick as thieves, and that's my mentor.
And at the end of the day, nobody can take your greatness away from you.
And we still win number one.
See, another number one. Another number one.
And we win
something
number one
in your life. Like, for you, what is your ultimate goal in life? What is it that you want to accomplish, and what do you want the world to know you for?
I want the world to know me for using my platform to shift the culture.
Okay.
Like, I want to, right now we have queer artists who are amazing. Nas is amazing. Santana is amazing. A lot of these queer artists are amazing, but there is no person who is literally coming in and is doing the educational aspect that the world is asking for right now. They love us, they support us, but they don't get us. They don't understand us. They don't know what to do beyond, we're gonna play your music. And we need someone who can come in and say, hey, this is where y'all missing the mark. This is where we can make a difference. We need someone who can actually bridge the gap between pop culture and what's happening in the world so that we can combat this anti-LGBTQ, anti-trans, anti-feminist legislation. And I want to be that person. I feel like I've been doing the work and there ain't no reason why I can't. And ultimate goal, I want to actually, it's not, get a Grammy and all that. I want to open a bunch of group homes. Okay. So I lived in a group home when I was younger. I want to open a bunch of group homes around the nation, but I want them to be geared toward the development of the kids. Okay. So for instance, if you are creative and you like music, you'll be able to have people who are within the industry that are teaching you. If you want to be an engineer, you want to be a mathematician, a teacher, whatever. I want it to be that these kids not only feel like they're removed, but I want them to feel like they're home. I want them to feel like they are being set up for success so that by the time that they leave, they're able to go do whatever they want to do. Because it might not be going to college. It might not be because they're in the system. It might be something else. But I want them to be well equipped, and I don't want them to feel like they're missing opportunity because they were given unfortunate circumstances.
Oh, I love that. And look, and when you open your first one,
listen,
give me a call.
Oh, yes.
I'll be right there on the scene. I would love to see that. Like, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
And you know what? With this being Pride Month, happy Pride Month, by the way, everybody.
Pride Month, y'all.
With this being Pride Month, there are a lot of people out here who don't truly understand what that means. So for you, what does pride mean?
Pride is being unstoppable. It's being fearless. It's being courageous. It's believing in yourself even in the moments that the world doesn't. It's having faith in yourself even when the world tells you not to. It's finding security within yourself when the world tells you you're unsafe. is going against the odds because there's more odds against us that are for us. And regardless of what's against you, rising above it, smiling above it, and being you.
I love that. I hope you guys love that as well. So tell the people where they can find you, download, stream, buy, support. Where can they see and support 2AM Ricky and everything that is you?
Yeah, so y'all can follow me, stream me, listen to me, all of that at 2AM Ricky. That's the number 2 AM, like in the morning, RICKY. Make sure you go get my new single Cream. Make sure you look out for what you packing because that pre-save is dropping soon. And you gotta come out to the listening party we doing in Atlanta because that's about to be crazy. Okay. The album release is gonna be really, really dope. I'm excited.
What are some of the surprises? Can you share some of the things you might have in store? Not all the surprises, because you want them to come out and see for themselves.
I got some special guests who are coming.
Okay.
I didn't call up some friends. I didn't call them some really, really, really great friends. So I got some real special guests coming. I also have a really great mental health speaker who's gonna be there. Yes, I have a really great mental health speaker who's gonna be there. So that's gonna be really, really dope. And I don't know.
Just make sure y'all follow, support, and stream. And to those of you who, is it gonna be an open event or is it like invite only?
It will be.
I'll let y'all know how it was. Because y'all can't go.
Not you can't come. You can come, you just not gonna be on the special list.
Yeah, but make sure you guys support. And thank you so much for coming and being bold and courageous and telling your story and being a light for all those people out here that are watching, inspiring and educating.
Yes.
Because we need to be educated.
Yes, so, y'all can't say that y'all don't know anybody that can come in, that can educate you, that can train you, that can speak to you, that can listen to you. None of that. All y'all better feel your DEI obligations now because y'all done met somebody.
Well, I appreciate you so much and thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of BLK Talk, and we will see you next time.